Hello everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we will be talking about the probabilistic reasoning in artificial intelligence. Till now, whatever we have done about knowledge representation, we discussed about first order logic as well as propositional logic with certainty. That means we were sure about the predicates or the facts or the rules. With this knowledge representation, we might write A implies B, which means that if A is true, then B essentially has to be true. So this kind of representation is possible. But if we consider a situation where we are not sure about whether A is true or not, and we cannot express this statement, then the situation is known as uncertain situation. And in order to handle uncertain situations, having simple knowledge representation techniques like first order logic or the propositional logic is not sufficient. So in order to represent uncertain knowledge which we are not sure about, or the predicates which we do not know or we are not very sure about, we need uncertain reasoning or probabilistic reasoning. So probabilistic reasoning, we also consider it as uncertain reasoning process where we do not have idea about the predicates. Talking about the causes of uncertainty. So what causes this uncertainty? So if we are analyzing the causes of uncertainty, there are a number of reasons why a particular information might be uncertain, or there is not or there is unavailability of the predicates. The first one is information occurred from unreliable sources. So if we have information which we have acquired from unreliable sources, we cannot be certain about the authenticity of that particular information. So information acquired from unreliable resources. So this is basically the first or sources. So this is basically the first cause of uncertainty. The next one, there might be certain experimental errors. So if we are considering certain experimental errors, if there are certain experimental errors, it might also lead to an uncertain value. The third one is equipment fault. If we are using faulty equipments, then also there is a scope that we might do not have the accurate information available. The fourth point would be temperature variation. So when we are concentrating on the variations, so this temperature variation is one of the effective parameters in which the laws of nature might change, okay, or the facts might change, as well as there also might be different climate changes which can lead to incorrect information about any real-time scenario. So climate change. So these kind of random changes in nature also would be impacting the nature of information which we might be receiving from the environment. Okay, now let us go ahead with the probabilistic reasoning. Probabilistic reasoning. So considering probabilistic reasoning, which is uncertain reasoning, we have to understand that it is a way of knowledge representation where we apply the concept of probability basically to indicate the uncertainty in knowledge. That means what is the percentage that event might occur. So in probabilistic reasoning, we combine probability theory with logic. So here we have the theory plus logic in order to handle the uncertainty. We use probability in probabilistic reasoning because it provides a way to handle the uncertainty that is the result of someone's ignorance or laziness. Because if we are sure about a particular event which has occurred, only then we will be able to convert it into a representable form of knowledge, and hence we will be able to handle that particular information in that way. However, if we are ignorant about that scenario, it will not be able to we will not be able to do that. So we will be using probability or the knowledge of probabilistic reasoning in order to handle such a situation. Now, if we are considering the real world, so there are lots of scenarios with certainty of something which is not being confirmed. Let us give an example that it might rain today. So this is basically a situation which says that it might rain, behavior of some situation. However, it is not sure that whether it will rain or not. Okay, now also let's say a match between two teams. So we can just predict which team might win, but we cannot be sure about whether the match would be won by team A or team B. So there is a need of this probabilistic reasoning in AI so that we may be able to predict the unpredictable outcomes. So why we need, what is the need of it? So basically the need is first to predict unpredictable outcomes. Unpredictable outcomes. The second one is important, which says that when specifications or probabilities of predicates becomes too large to handle. So if the specifications of predicates are too large to handle, predicates are very large, so then also we have to go ahead with probabilistic reasoning, because large number of predicates or large number of specifications will not be able to, we will not be able to handle them. Okay, so in order to handle it, we have to go for a probabilistic reasoning based approach. The next one is when an unknown error occurs in an experiment. Unknown error in an experiment. Then there also we have to make educated guess of what might have gone wrong, and based on that we will generate some probability or some reasoning which will help us to predict the outcome. Now, talking about probabilistic reasoning, there are two ways to solve uncertain knowledge. So if we are considering uncertain knowledge, we have two different ways through which we can solve it or through which we can handle this uncertain knowledge. The first one is the Bayes rule, and the second one is the Bayesian statistics. Bayes rule and Bayesian statistics. So as probabilistic reasoning uses probability and related terms, so before understanding reasoning, we have to understand some very common terms. The first common term is probability. So before we go ahead with reasoning, let us understand what probability is. So talking about probability, it is defined as a chance that an uncertain event will occur. So the keyword for this is a chance. Okay, the chance that an uncertain event will occur. So it is a numerical measurement of the likelihood of that event might occur, and the numerical likelihood ranges from 0 to 1. So if there is no scope that the event will occur, then it is 0, and if there is a certain scope that the event will occur, we consider it as 1. But generally the probability value lies between these two values, which is 0 is less than equal to P of A is less than equal to 1, where PA can be considered as the probability of occurrence of A. Probability of occurrence of A, right? Then P of A is equal to 0, which will indicate that total uncertainty in event A, that means it will not be occurring, and P of A is equal to 1, it indicates that the total certainty in an event A. Now if we are considering the probability, so this is given by a equation. So probability of occurrence, so if we are considering this, so probability of occurrence is equal to number of desired outcomes by by the total number of outcomes. Total number of outcomes. So this is the equation in which we can get the probability of occurrence of a particular event. Now, if we are considering probability of not of A, this means that that particular event is not happening at all, and generally we have to remember that probability of not of A plus probability of A is always is equal to 1. So these equations we have to keep in mind when we are considering probability of an event A with respect to the uncertain event A. So each possible outcome of a variable basically is called an event, and that is the next important definition that we have to remember. So the next definition, which common term basically, is event. So event can be defined as the possible outcome of a variable. So let me write it down. Possible outcome of a variable. So this is basically an event. So what is the possibility of or what is the outcome of a variable? So that will be considered as an event. Next we will be considering the next important definition, which is sample space. Now this sample space we have been discussing since a long time. So this is the collection of all possible events. So if we are considering all possible events collection, so collection of all possible events, that is known as the sample space. Now the third important terminology is random variables. So if we are considering random variables are used to represent events and objects in real world. So they represent the events and objects in real world. Next important definition is prior probability. So all these terminologies are basically used in probabilistic reasoning in one way or the other. So next we will consider prior probability. So the prior probability of event is probability computed before observing new information. So this is the probability computed before observing or new information is generated. So before observing new information. And we have to consider the posterior probability. So this is just the opposite of your prior probability. It is calculated after all evidence or information has taken into account. It is a combination of prior probability. So if we combine prior probability with the new information, we can achieve the posterior probability. Then we will talk about another important characteristic or phenomena of probabilistic reasoning, which is known as conditional probability. Conditional probability. So as the name suggests, it is based on certain conditions. So conditional probability is the probability of occurring an event when another event has already happened. Okay, so if an event occurs when another event has already occurred, so we consider it as conditional probability. Now let us suppose that we want to calculate the event A when event B has already occurred. So we have two events A and B. So if we are considering that the event A, if we want to calculate event A when event B has already occurred, then the probability of A under the conditions of B can be written as P of A bar B. That means B has already occurred and we are considering A under B has already occurred. So we will be keeping this as A intersection B or A and B and divided by probability of B. So B has already been occurred here. If we want the other one, we can just use the reverse of it. So this is basically the joint probability of A and B. And P of B is also known as marginal probability. Marginal probability. Right. So if the probability of A is given and we need to find the probability of B, okay, then suppose we are given the probability of A and we have to find out the probability of B, then we have to write down as P of B by A is equal to P of A joint probability B, and then we have to write down as P of A. That means A has already been occurred. It can be explained if we use a Venn diagram in a better way. So where B is an occurred event, so the sample space will be reduced to set B, and we can only calculate event A when B has already occurred by dividing the probability of joint probability of A and B by the marginal probability of B. So this can be represented in a Venn diagram where this is the probability of occurrence of B and this is the probability of occurrence of A, and this is basically the joint probability. So if we consider a particular example, so let us consider a particular example for this. So now in a class there are 70%. In a class there are 50%, not 70%, 50% of students who like English and 40% of the students who likes English and science. Then what is the percentage? Sorry, I have to rub this. Yes. Then what percentage of students who likes English also likes science? What percentage of students who likes English also likes science? So let us understand the question first, that there are 50% of the students who likes English and 40% of the students who likes English and science both. And then what is the percentage of students who like English also likes science? Okay. So in one situation we have A who likes science. Okay. And then we have B who likes English. So if we have to find out the probability of the students or the percentage of the students who likes science and they are already liking English, so we have to consider A first, and then we have to consider the joint probability of this followed by the marginal probability of B, which is, that means they already like English, right? So we have to consider 0.4 by 0.6. So this would be calculated. Okay. So if we are considering this particular value, we have to consider both the joint probability and the marginal probability. So 0.4 divided by 0.6 is equal to 0.66. So 66% of the students who likes English also likes science. So the answer is basically 66%. So in this way, we can exploit the properties of conditional probability in order to find out whether an event or what percentage of an event has occurred, provided the other event has already occurred. So there is basically, if we do not, in this particular example, we are not certain about the students who likes science and also who already likes English but also likes science. So in this situation, we are using a probabilistic based reasoning in order to find out our desired result. So this is the power in which we can actually predict the unpredictable outcomes, and we will find out that this has a much more powerful representation than what we have already done in our knowledge representation using different propositional and first order logic. So this is all for this video, and we will be talking about much more about the Bayesian Bayes theorem as well as Bayesian statistics in my next video. Thank you.